What's going on, guys? It's Mike for Sim Racing 604. Welcome back to Project Cars 2. And welcome to version 1.5, actually, of Project Cars 2. So they just this morning, actually about 12 hours ago, released an update to the game. And very excited for it. There's some pretty key changes here. I will list the changes in the description to this video. Previous versions have had the changelog so long that I literally could not fit it all into the description of the video, but this one they've actually done summary items, so it seems like it's only, I think it's about a dozen items long for this change, but they've made some pretty key changes and they've just kind of summarized into those dozen or so items, so I like that better, and they have said it enables them to get the updates out faster, so can't fault them for that. So the two things we're going to look at in this video are the Ferrari 488 Challenge, the new car that has come to Project Cars 2, and then we'll look at the sound update for the Porsche RSR 2017. So again, we're going to start out with 488 Challenge car. It's a Ferrari 488, obviously, just cranked as far as like just on steroids. I think it's about 670 horsepower, and yeah, you can see it's about the same performance-wise. What I've been finding is it's somewhere in the GT3, GTE kind of range for performance, but still getting used to it. But as you can see in the center of your screen there, they've classified it in its own class, and they have called that FERS. So let's get out there on the track. So some of you may have been astute enough to notice that I actually created my own setup for this car, and that is actually out of necessity. What I found with this car, because I actually drove it when it first came out this morning before I left for work, and was not impressed with it. I couldn't control it. I was just kind of thinking, what the heck have they done with this thing? The turn-in was terrible, and I couldn't get grip on corner exit. I was thinking, what the heck? That's very unlike Project Cars 2. Considering I believe the last major revision or the last major content add was the Porsche pack, and the RSR just kind of grips and you could throw it into corners and that kind of thing. But the 488 Challenge was not that at all. So I stepped away and went and did my day's work and came home, and I decided to work with it a bit and see if I could get some enjoyment out of this car, and sure enough I have. So I created a setup for those who are experiencing the same problem as me with kind of numb feeling when you turn in, or problems on corner exit. Stiffen the front, soften the rear. That's all you need to do, nothing fancy. I'm not a tuning guru by any means, but I was able to tune out the issue I was having. It's by no means a tame car. Like I say, the RSR is extremely tame, but you would never confuse this with tame. But it's certainly much more manageable once you, like I said, stiffen up the front and soften the rear. So we will do one more lap here. I'm actually very impressed with this car now that I kind of understand it a bit more. And I think having a learning curve for a car is something very, very cool. In my opinion, you should not be able to just jump in and immediately master a car. It should take some finesse and, you know, a bit of getting used to, and a bit of the finer driving skills, you know, moderating your inputs, that kind of thing. And this car definitely requires you to do that. So we got pretty good tire temperature now, so we'll be able to throw this around the track. I'm hoping to come in somewhere around 151, 152. Generally, when I'm recording a video, I do come in a bit slower, but yeah, it's pretty jumpy under braking. I think I need to do some some work on the brake pressure there, or at least the brake balance. I might actually have buttons mapped to brake balance, but I won't mess with that right now. Actually, this has been a terrible lap. I'm not watching what I'm doing here at all. So we will do another lap. But anyway, general feelings of the car. I like how it drives now that I've gotten used to it. Very temperamental, like I said, it has a learning curve in all the best ways. It's never unfair, I gotta say that. Like when I first drove it this morning, I shouldn't say it's never unfair. It's unfair until you get a tune that works for you. It was unfair feeling this morning, and that's kind of why I left the house in a grumpy mood. I was just thinking, man, what have they done with this car? Why is this so hard to drive? But guess what? It just took some actual driving time and some tuning time, and in my opinion that's how sim racing should be now that I look back. So anyway, I finally got used to it, And now it is definitely not unfair. This doesn't feel, you know, we've all driven cars in sim racing that just kind of go overboard and push you to some limit that you don't have, or at least I don't have. But this car is not that. It's a real blast to drive now that I have the hang of it. And it will be a test of your force feedback, by the way. You will need to be catching slides and things like that, so make sure you have your force feedback really dialed in before you give this too much track time. Alright, we're going to get a launch here, and we'll try for a bit better lap. This is going to be a 153 or a 154, and I believe I can be a couple seconds ahead of that. Oh, 156, how terrible is that? You can see kind of me fighting the wheel there. Very, very liberal with my inputs. Excuse me, very conservative with my inputs. You can tell I'm not a politician. And I think you'll be impressed with this thing in replay. It's a beautiful, beautiful looking Ferrari. I mean, try and find an ugly Ferrari, but still. It looks very, very nice out on track. Project Cars 2 never disappoints in the graphics department, and the 488 Challenge is no exception. So you can see me kind of fighting it around that corner there. Up about 3 seconds on the previous lap. So we'll finish this one up and then take a look, like I said, at the gorgeous replay. And what I find, because it's very easy to lose traction under braking here, I have to start my braking way, way back here. So yeah, being on that traction limit for the full lap, really, really fun. Like I said, this car has definitely grown on me. The Ferrari 488 Challenge, really enjoy how it drives now. Alright, let's take a quick look at a replay, and then we'll jump into the RSR and take a listen to the sound. Guys, so welcome back to Imola. Welcome on board the 911 RSR. So as mentioned, they did do a sound update to this. Actually, I can just drive and talk, I suppose. So the 911 RSR came to us as part of the Porsche DLC, the Porsche Legends DLC, I believe it was called, for Project Cars 2. I immediately loved it. I didn't think anything was wrong with the sound, but you guys wisely pointed me in the right direction towards Fonseca and kind of showed me what the RSR could sound like. And I'm in full agreement that the Fonseca had a pretty sizable advantage in sound over the Project Cars 2 version. So, to Slightly Mad Studios' credit, they bounced back, they listened to us, and they actually have improved the sounds. So what I'm going to do here, guys, is just do a quick outlap. We'll just get some heat in the tires, just talk about the updates a little bit, and then we'll do a lap at full volume so you guys can enjoy and judge for yourself, and hopefully leave some comments. Now, what I've read online is that the RPMs don't sound right for the sound, that it's about 2,000 RPM off, doesn't sound like it's revving high enough. I personally don't have a lot of issues with it. I think they've made some pretty sizable improvements. Is it at the Fonseca level? I don't think so, not in my opinion, but still very, very much improved. And as I've said in many other videos, it does not deter from the enjoyment of the car. So I really, really like this car. And even if the sound is not, you know, on par with Fonseca, or I guess more importantly, on par with what the RSR sounds like in real life, there's still a lot of enjoyment to, whoops, there wasn't a lot of enjoyment in that curve, but anyway, yeah, so there's still a lot of enjoyment to be had with this car. It's a lot of fun, so I don't take anything away from it. Alright, I'm going to mute myself and be quiet, and you guys can enjoy a lap at full volume.